What's going on, guys? This is Bama 365. Had a few days to digest this Kalen Deboer hire, and I've really been thinking about it. Is Kalen Deboer going to be Coach Saban? No. Could anybody be Coach Saban? No. So I think during this hire process, even myself included, and us Bama fans, we want to make sure we get the guy, whoever that is. And a lot of us thought it might be Lane Kiffin, could be Steve Sarkisian, Dan Lanning, but he shut that down. We got Kalen DeBoer. We've got the guy who has proven to be an elite offensive coach. I mean, look at what he's produced. Is Indiana a football school or a basketball school, guys? Because they're they're a basketball school. And in 2019, they went 8-5. They were putting up good numbers with Michael Penix. Look at Washington, right? I mean, they're a team that has, been somewhat relevant, I guess, during these last few years. But they went to the playoff with, what was his name? Jake Browning, I think. And Alabama beat them. That was in 2016. Kalen DeBoer took that Washington team, and these last 2 years, they've been elite. Maybe this year, we all as fans criticized Washington for getting by in so many of their games, which they did, win a lot of one-possession games. I think their last 10 games of the season were decided by 7 points or less. And now you got to imagine this. He did that with, 3-star players, West Coast players, Midwest players. I've watched videos of him talking about recruiting the West and Midwest. And, that's kind of, I guess, leads into the next, point that a lot of, Alabama fans are wondering is, can Kalen DeBoer recruit down south? I think he can. If you watch his interviews, all he talks about is how important it is to build relationships with people, build that trust, with the coaches, the players, everybody in the building, all the, potential recruits. Kalen DeBoer, is a very well thought out, well spoken guy who understands how important it is to be able to communicate and build these relationships. And, the dude came from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, North Dakota. I don't know which one it is. Help me out, guys. This guy, he's been, to get from where he's gotten to, go through Fresno, Indiana, Washington, now here he is. Look where he made it. All the way to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. That's crazy. And guys, one more thing, college football, there's a lot of subjectivity that goes into it. In all sports, it's all opinion. Everyone's got an opinion on who thinks there is better. There's a lot of debates about who's the greatest player of this era or all time or etc. In college football, there are different conferences that play different teams that, it's hard to compare schools to other schools sometimes, even though we all try to. At the end of the day, one thing that is not subjective, winning. Win. 104 wins and 12 losses. That's Kalen DeBoer. What was it, 24-3, 25-3, 26-3 at Washington? That's a winner, guys. What else can he do besides win? One of the craziest parts of all this is look at all the players that have been decommitting and hopping into the transfer portal. Isaiah Bond, who made the legendary gravedigger play against Auburn, saved our season. If he doesn't make that catch, our season ends. We can beat Georgia. We don't go to the playoff. Look what he did against Georgia when it was 20-17. He had 5 straight catches on that touchdown drive to put us up 10. And I don't, if I was going to transfer anywhere, I'd probably go play for Steve Sarkisian myself. He's proven to be an elite offensive mind. But, It's just crazy to think of what Kalen Deboer has been able to produce. They've got three receivers at Washington that are going to be in the NFL this year based on, that's because of his, offensive philosophy that's allowed those guys to flourish. Those guys weren't 4 or 5 star recruits. Whenever Coach Saban first retired, I guess in a sense you can't blame the players. The greatest coach of all time that you just committed to Alabama to play for, is retiring. So that definitely is gonna, I could see some doubt within that, but now you look at the hire that we made, it was a slam dunk offensive hire, like Ryan Williams from Saraland, Alabama, who decommitted. Like, he reclassified to this year's class. He was going to be a freshman this year. I'm looking for some of these guys to recommit. That's the craziest part of this all, is just for the first time in my life, and, there's a lot of other Alabama fans. Any Alabama fan that's younger than 30 years old for the first time is seeing what it's like to not have the GOAT at the top. Because when you've got Coach Saban at the top, you've got players that, just can have that blind faith of, if I come play for you, I know I'll have a good chance of being successful, because look at all the first round picks. 44 first round picks. That's just first round. If you come play for Alabama under Coach Saban, you knew what you were going to get as long as you were willing to put in the work. And without having him, you've got a lot of guys now that, they don't see the same vision, even though the program is still what it is. Coach Saban has laid down a foundation for Kalen Deboer to ride this ship, and he can, he basically got handed the keys to a Ferrari, and we'll see if he can drive it. I think he can. It might, and who knows what's going to take place this first year, maybe these first couple years, but at the end of the day, we have plenty of reason as Alabama fans to be optimistic about what Kalen Deboer can bring. Let's see what happens with this Tavares Robinson situation. He got hired at Georgia as a co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach, and now, I'm hearing a lot of reports that we're offering him a defensive coordinator position. He might come back. We'll have to see what happens with that. Come on home, Mr. T-Rob, please. Guys, we got a lot to be excited about in Tuscaloosa. There's a lot to be excited about. It's exciting times. It's hard to say goodbye to Coach Saban, but at the end of the day, Alabama football was built to last. And Kalen Deboer, the 28th head coach, has a chance to add to that history, man. And we just got to sit back and see what happens. And no matter what, we got to be here. We ain't running. We ain't ducking. And all the college football fans that think we're going somewhere, y'all better keep going into our backyard, taking our players. Y'all better, because it ain't going to take long for Kalen Deboer to have this Crimson Tide wave rolling again, baby. Roll Tide.